Welcome everyone to Awesome Truth, a wrestling book club. I'm your host, Steve Semino, and with me as always is my co-host, Walt Schwenk. Hey, Walters.
Hello, Steven. How's it going?
My friend, it is going very well. We are back on Awesome Truth, and it's time for another watch-along, Walt. We're actually jumping. We try and time these month to month, so if we do a February episode, we do a February match. But we're jumping ahead in time, sort of. We're doing a Mania match, a March match, and I think a March. Was it March or April? Let's check real quick. That's being nitpicky in particular for no reason. It was an April match, even worse, but we don't care because the news is out. The Rock is coming back to wrestle at WrestleMania. So while we felt like we had to watch the last official, real Rock match at WrestleMania 29.
And one we watched live.
Yes,
so.
We paid money, probably a decent amount of money to be at this show, and it was a bad show.
When that oblique tears, we saw it from the, whatever section we were in and whatever scene we were in.
I was very high up. You were probably very high up, too.
I thought, pretty sure we're equal parts of this giant outdoor stadium in April in New York, which should have
really
never,
cold.
Never
We're freezing cold for some reason. I don't. April's not usually that cold, but I remember not being comfortable at all.
It was I came. We'll get into.
We'll get into specifics. There's
a lot of filler here, I'm sure.
It's WrestleMania 29. It's Rock Cena 2. It's the one where Rock has the belt. It's twice in a lifetime. It's a very famous, like I said, it's Rock. I think that when he rock bottoms Eric Rowan at that one Mania, I think that quote unquote was a match. But this is obviously the last real Rock match, right?
Of consequence, yes.
Yeah, and like where he works more than 30 seconds. So it's the last Rock match that matters. And again, Rock's back. We'll get into all this, but it's Mania 29. Pull up your Peacock, and what's the time code again, Walt?
It is 3 hours, 14 minutes, 52 seconds.
There you go. 3 hours, 14 minutes, 52 seconds. So cue that one up and join us for Rock Cena 2 in 3, 2, 1, play. You should be seeing the belt graphic coming on screen. You should be seeing the kind of cool little backshot. And you can see John Cena and The Rock in the ring. Rock looking pretty big. Pretty like, this is like Big Rock, but he's not horrifically big like he is now. Like, this is still looking sort of like a normal human being Rock.
Which
maybe not normal, but
was this?
Yeah, that's true. Or when was Skyscraper? Was it pre or post Skyscraper? Probably pre.
Skyscraper, post San Andreas.
Very important. Very milestones in The Rock's life and career.
Yeah.
There's Justin Roberts, the author of a book we don't like.
Not friend of the show, if you ever heard of our podcast.
And there's Rock. So correct me wrong. Rock won the belt from Punk at a Limb Chamber, whatever the ass lane.
No, Royal Rumble.
Was it Rumble? So he didn't work ass lane then. He worked Rumble, and then that was when Punk had been champ for like a very long time, right?
Yeah, and then maybe Cena won the Rumble.
Yes, and Rock beat Punk. Was that Rock Punk match good? Do you have any recollection of it?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Because that was like, I think it was regarded as better than this match, which I guess makes sense. Because this is like I would say in my memory, after this match, there's maybe a little time, but like Cena gets his working shoes on in the years to come. But I recall this being the end of like when just main events, boring ass Cena. Maybe not the end, but like maybe the peak of main event boring ass Cena.
Yeah, I guess because after this was like Kevin Owens and AJ Styles and maybe there's a few other.
Yeah, because Roman, because I think you noted that the Shield opens this pay-per-view and they beat Big Show and Orton in some shitty match. But the next year is when the Shield squashes Big Kane and the New Age Outlaws and are firmly presented as like super baby faces, and then they go on their tear after that basically and become main eventers. So we're getting into the Shield era, which then bleeds into the NXT, the good NXT era. So these are only a few years away.
Yeah, I mean, if you go year by year with the Shield, I'm sure it's a.
They're a good bellwether for like when things. They're a good bellwether when things change a little bit, like when it stopped being about the big meaty guys like these two and started to get a little more worky, a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, Guess who I don't want to see in the Shield versus Randy Orton circa like 2013 and the Big Show ever and Sheamus.
Well, so here we go. So this is, as I said, this is the second Cena Rock match. They fought the year before called Once in a Lifetime, and then
twice.
Rock won that one clean.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this time they won. This time Rock is champ, and not to spoil it, but someone gets their win back.
Yeah. In one of the first few times where two giant stars actually worked together, and we traded wins without nonsense.
Yeah, it was pretty. There's the. I remember there was during the build-up. I think was when Cena wrote on his who wrote on their hand? Rock wrote on his hand.
Yeah.
And Cena called him out for it, and like everyone pretended like it was a big deal. Maybe it was a big deal. Sort of unclear how mad anybody got. Like I imagine because it's wrestling, they were all just working everybody. But I remember it being, oh, this is real. Rock is upset because Cena called out his professionalism or preparation or whatever. So I recall that being in the build-up, that there was some actual heat there between the two of them, which seems stupid in retrospect.
Well, as outlined in the Brian Gewirtz book, I think that heat was legit.
Okay, so Gewirtz, I don't remember that at all. Gewirtz said it was real?
Yeah, I mean, one of the chapters is just about this feud.
I blocked that out of my memory already, apparently.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, but...
Is it because Dwayne is like, Dwayne just, is a proud guy and didn't like getting, called out for being a little behind one day?
I just think... there was a lot of real animosity there, and everything was kind of like taken as a slight.
Yeah.
But especially that, where it was like, oh my God, how dare you call me out for that?
I mean, we were talking before we started recording, like as we said, the reason we're doing this is because Rock is back, and when we got this idea to do this episode, it's because the initial decision seemed like it was going to be Rock stepping in, bumping Cody out entirely, and just fast forwarding to Rock Roman because it's, quote unquote, the biggest match, the match everybody wants. Though it's obviously not the match anybody wants, and now they seem to be smartly pivoting to something a little different at least. But the implication there was it seemed like Rock was getting his way and and flexing his muscles and using his power to get what he wants. And like maybe that's not the case, but like Rock is definitely garnered that reputation, I'd say, in the last decade, that he does have an ego and he wears his ego on his sleeve sometimes, and he can be a little touchy. And so the idea that there was some real heat and those two guys had actual heat checks out in that sense, because most guys I wouldn't expect that stuff to turn real, but given the way Rock turns out to be, that does sort of all come together in a way.
Yeah. I think at this point, though, they were playing ball with each other. I think it was those first few promos after WrestleMania 27 where it was like, oh, we're building this thing now, and we're really committed.
Because they did a full year build for that first one, too, which is pretty crazy. That's a long time to build to one match,
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the few 3-year arcs that they've done that paid off, you know what I mean? Like...
Yeah. If you want to give the Vince era shit for lack of long-term booking, which I think is justified a lot of the time, you have to give them credit when they do a story right. And they do, even if it's not a home run, they checked all the boxes here, they got from A to B to C in the way we all want to see them do, methodically, smartly, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, was this good though?
I don't recall it being very good.
Like, do we forgive a lot of the fact that, like, the in-ring was kind of meh, and, like, at some point they're teaming together for no particular reason, and it's like...
Against Awesome Truth, right?
Against Awesome Truth. Do we forgive that just because it's like, when are you ever going to see this? Once in a lifetime. It's like, yeah, I mean, Hogan was once in a lifetime, but that was, like, insane.
Yeah, it was... Yeah. That was actually good and well timed, and caught the basically the end of Hogan's in-ring career. Like, yeah, this is I don't recall this being particularly great. But I mean, Rock coming back at that time was a really big deal. You know, I remember. Fact check me on this if I'm wrong. But when Rock came back, when Rock was announced as the host or whatever the hell he was for Mania 27, people lost their minds because like he hadn't been around and he became a huge star, and genuinely no one thought he was coming back like ever.
Right.
So it was back then. Like, and then I think after this, he started coming back every couple of years, and it was just like, okay, Rock's back. You know.
Well, he definitely came back for this arc, and then after that, it's just been like spot.
Usually at a Mania, like every other Mania or every 2 or 3 Manias, you know, he comes out and does a nice thing.
Or really important SmackDowns, because forget that SmackDown is called SmackDown because The Rock used to lay the SmackDown on people. Like,
yes, they turned his catchphrase into a 30-year show somehow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't recall this being like. I mean, I remember back in the day when we went to this show. We didn't go because we wanted to see Rock Cena 2. We went because it was WrestleMania. And we're like, okay, well, it's in New York. We might as well go to WrestleMania.
Well, we were in D.C. at the time, though.
Yeah, but we were but it was close-ish. Like, it was like we have friends up there. Like, we can make the trek for Mania, not for. We weren't like the kind of marks who were excited for this kind of match. Well, I shouldn't say that. Friend of the show, Chris Holcomb, was probably extremely excited for this match.
Sure.
Not to throw shade at Hulk, but I'm sure he was genuinely. These are 2 of his most beloved humans, so he was probably over the moon.
Well, you had the pleasure of sitting next to him through this. I was on the other side of the arena.
You're with a fellow Mark of your own though, who probably was loving it too. So
that's fair. I'm not going to name drop because I don't remember exactly who was next to me.
But definitely someone who was juiced, I bet.
Yeah.
Rock did not tear his oblique yet, right? Does it happen outside the ring?
I don't remember exactly. I just know it happens in both matches at some point.
Did he really do it in the first match too?
I thought the first match.
You might be right. I do recall him getting hurt at both.
I mean,
he definitely. I mean, this is the concern about if they had done Rock Roman. I think this was. Even beyond like the storyline being stupid, like why would you let Cody win the Rumble and then have him just come out like a wuss and give away his title shot on SmackDown? That's just horrible storytelling. Everyone agreed on that. But the idea of Rock and Roman doing a 20 to 25 minute main event match when Rock is so what Mania are we at this year? 40 something?
40.
40?
Right?
This is 40?
Because it's the XL on the Liberty Bell.
Yes.
So funny, they're going to be in Philly, and neither one of us were like, "Oh, we should do that." I'm like, "Absolutely not."
my wife said like 6 months ago, like, "You should go to WrestleMania." I was like, "No, I'm good. I think I'm all set." No, thank you.
I'd rather keep my $700.
Yeah. So anyway, so 11 years from this match, Rock is going to have another longer match, possibly with another guy that is. A decent worker at best. Like that just seems like it was going to be a train wreck, you know.
So do we know what? Like, do we officially know why they pivoted? Because I'm a little behind on.
It's hard to say. I mean, by this we're recording on a Monday night, so for all we know, something will happen on Raw that will negate all of this. But the implication was they truly were maybe floating it, and when it flopped really hard. They realized that it was not. So some people are now saying all along this was the plan, but it was so clumsily done at the first step. Like I can't believe that was the plan. Was step A, fuck up. Step B, do it right.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make a lot of sense. But it seems like they just realized maybe we shouldn't be doing this. I have to imagine another show we've talked about when Roman and Rock got booed, which we've done a watch along, available awesometruth.libsyn.com in our archives. I have to imagine they were like, Roman and Rock in Philly are going to just get booed for 30 minutes straight. Like, this is going to be a nightmare.
So let me ask this question, which is, I guess, rhetorical, but like, if people went nuts when The Rock made that announcement, do you think they'd be pivoting?
No, I do not.
Right.
But
because if everybody was super cool with it and Twitter didn't just like lose their minds, it's like, why are we switching? If this is what people wanted, then why was this the plan all along?
Maybe they just didn't see this coming. Like, I really don't know. Like, it's unlike them to pivot so quickly too. Like they've shown an ability in the past with Daniel Bryan and with Batista turning. Like they do they do pivot when necessary, and a lot of times it does work out in their favor, and they create an iconic moment. It's wild that they pivoted in a week. That is very, very quick for them.
Yeah, well, but the thing is, like, you don't want to, like, we all remember fondly the Daniel Bryan WrestleMania 30, but like that arc was terrible, and it was like they waited to the last possible.
It was really clumsy, right? Like it wasn't like smooth or good or thoughtful.
We were going with Orton versus Batista for that main event. Like, I don't care what they say. They were going to commit to that until they realized that it was going to be a disaster. And instead, they made one of the most memorable Mania moments of in a long time, if not ever. So,
but it took him a sec. It was like you said. It was definitely.
We were in March before he got added. The idea of him getting out of that match was a thing.
Yeah, and it just wasn't. It didn't seem. Yeah, it definitely didn't seem like, ooh, this is. And they didn't even try selling to their credit back then, as far as I remember, like as if it was part of the plan. I think they were like, yeah, we had to do it. Y'all yelled so much that we had no choice.
Yeah.
But this time they do seem to be. But this time it's just such a different time now because H is in charge, Vince is out, Rock is on the TKO board of directors. So there's all these rumors and scuttlebutt that like not only does Rock want to have a match, but like Rock is in charge to a certain extent. Like Rock has a say beyond just being I'm famous and I have a say. Like I actually am part of the company and I have a say.
Which is funny how he was okay with this pivot. Like a lot of stars were just like in previous iterations with creative control would not have gone this way.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to respect the fact that he's like, well, I don't know, respect is the right term,
but I think we've talked on the show, and like we said, I'm sure we've talked about Batista and his heel turn when he came back pre-Guardians, which was incredible and super well done. But the one thing I want veterans and and legends to do more than anything is turn heel. It's so boring when they come back just for cheers, and it's so fun when they come back. One of the most iconic moments that I remember so well is in that Bryan build-up was when Michaels super kicked Bryan. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't go very far with it, but the idea was that Bryan was feuding with H, and so Michaels had to step in because H is his best friend. And it wasn't like a whole to do, but it was just such a great little moment that I'll always remember.
And then if they were really, if Michaels wanted the payday, they could have built this something even more epic because there was such a real story there between the two of them.
Oh yeah, and we got so excited about the possibility. I mean, nowadays with the Saudi money, they probably would just give him back a dump truck up to his house with money and say,
sure,
hey, you want to fight Bryan in Saudi Arabia? But yeah, but it was just such a good little small thing. And then the Outlaws turned heel because they were with Triple H. So like they had a nice little run there where they realized, oh, just because these guys are legends and are back for a month doesn't mean they can't come back and tell everyone to eat shit.
Yeah,
it's great. It's such a fun little thing to do. We're also barely talking about this match.
I was literally about to say that. Like, oh, by the way, we're into the false finishes now. So
are we actually this? We're only like 10 minutes in, though, right?
I mean, I don't think they go that much longer.
They have a 20. That's a 23-minute match.
It's got to be more than 10.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of this match is false finishes and their moves to each other.
Yeah. I mean, they were put on the working boots a little bit there, but
yeah. I mean, it's as much as these guys can do. Like neither, it's not the kind of match you watch and expect them to dazzle you with in-ring ability. Well, here's a question for you actually. Now, like, what are your thoughts on Rock as a worker throughout his career? Like, do you think Rock was ever actually good in the ring?
I think so. I mean, I think there's a few feuds he had with Triple H that were really good when they were like at the IC level, and I think some of the work rates of like Rock, Austin in their prime, like I can't remember exactly one great match, but I think him and Angle, him and Austin, him Angle and Austin, him and H, him and Taker were good matches. Like,
I mean, obviously he has the what's it called? The theatricality and like all that shit. He's great at all that. So what he's great at, he's legendary at. But I just think he's moving around pretty good for a guy who's hurt.
Right now?
Yeah.
In this match? Yeah.
Does he look? He looks like now. I wonder. Now I want to look up when we're done when he actually got hurt in this match.
Yeah, watching. He's not even hurt here. Where he keeps talking about it like, oh, that poor man who's. It's like, oh no, he's fine. Oh. He was definitely hurting one of them. Like I think it's obvious.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not obvious.
Well, whether it's not here, it's he's looking okay, and but I just really I'm fascinated to see what they do this year because I really shudder to think that he'll be in a singles match. That just does not, at least a singles match like with Roman. We've seen Roman and Triple H already have a Mania, another one years ago, but that slow plotting ass Mania main event thing that everyone hates, that they still resort back to every now and then. I just really, really don't want to see, and Philly does not want to see that shit. There's just no way.
God, can you imagine putting that main event in front of Philly?
It's just asking to be torched. It's a horrifying idea. Why would they do that?
You need to examine your, obviously Mania is going to garner an international audience, whether you're Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, or you're Philly. You have to obviously there's enough people from around the world who go, but if you're gonna be in Philly, or New York, then you better give them something worth giving shit about.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't even matter. Maybe.
Well, that's the weird thing about Mania now, because now, Mania, like I said, even at Mania 29. We went without, not because we wanted to see a particular match. We went because we wanted to see a WrestleMania. And now they sell out Mania guaranteed no matter 2 nights, no matter what, easy as pie. And they don't sell pay-per-views anymore. It's on Peacock, and they already get their money from Peacock. So, I know they want to get more views, and I know there's merch, and there's a bunch of other ways they make money beyond just that. But it is just so weird to me. What even is... It's almost like they have the freedom now to tell whatever story they want to tell. It's great to get Rock in the Mania main event, but they don't need. I just don't know where the revenue stream is there. Where bringing Rock in bumps the money up, 1,000,000%. I get that it's helpful. I just feel like you could put Cody Rhodes, Roman in the main event, and that's gonna. It's fine. It's like they're printing money no matter what at this point.
Yeah, then that garners another question, or
He did tear his ab in this match, and he tear an abdomen and an abductor injury.
Got it.
So,
well, dude needs to do some plank, I guess. I don't know.
And he had a hernia too, apparently.
Oh, jeez.
He had a lot of stuff.
Can't wait to see what the hell happens now this year.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Is this the end?
It might be.
No.
That's
wow.
How
he lost last year. He tried to do the rock bottom, and then it gets caught.
Well,
or the people's elbow gets
see,
caught.
you said the false finish is just everything is a false finish.
Yeah.
But these fans are having a good time. The little kids are getting excited. There is a lot of enthusiasm, so that's fun.
Yeah. But so my point I was trying to make before about they're printing money. People are going to go. It's an experience, blah, blah, blah. But, I feel like you can't get away with a WrestleMania 9 anymore. You just can't. There's...
a total disaster?
There's still an optics to it, putting on a crappy show. It's like watching a Super Bowl that's a blowout. No one wants to watch that, and no one remembers those. And it doesn't make me want to go back to the Super Bowl.
And they have the power to. The NFL sometimes gets screwed. The WWE should never be caught off guard. They can put out whatever they want.
Right. They have a year to figure it out.
It's a great. We didn't even talk about the other. We mentioned the Shield, but this Mania 29, which we were at, is horrible. There's a Mark Henry Ryback singles match. Fandango beats Jericho, which Jericho's talked about ad nauseum in books and podcasts and everything. There's Del Rio Swagger for the heavyweight title, which is a mess. Then there's Triple H Lesnar. Oh, there's a rock bottom by Cena. We at least should comment on that. And then there's the match this Mania is recognized for. Is that a Cena meme face there?
Yes, I was about to call that out. Yeah.
The match on this card that everyone talks about is Punk Taker. But other than that, it is a really gross card. And you do make a good point that Mania does lose. There's enough chatter, and they listen to the chatter enough now that they would lose the shine if they put on a really shitty show.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's just so much money like people are spending on this crap. It's like,
yeah, because when you go to Mania now, it becomes like you don't go to Mania anymore. You go for NXT. Yeah. You go to both nights. You go to Raw after. Like, you're not gonna
spend, like, I don't know why we did this, but like, you know, Ziggler cashes in the Money in the Bank the next night.
Yeah,
and it's, you know, the idea of that happening now is ludicrous. Like, you're gonna waste that on Monday?
Yeah, because that's a Raw.
You have 2 nights of WrestleMania, and you're gonna waste that on Monday.
Yeah, but it was a huge deal, and it became like it started the whole. Oh, Cena's working a little heely. Oh, Rock doesn't look hurt necessarily, but he looks blown up as fuck. He looks so tired.
That's the 3rd rock bottom by The Rock.
Yeah, they're spamming finishers now like crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really, The Rock only has 6 moves, you know?
I do love the idea of, like, Cena's AA became so watered down that the only way he could beat people is with, like, the avalanche AA.
Yeah. It helps when he's facing a smaller guy, like when he's facing AJ and all that, because they can flip and land on their feet, you know?
Right.
It's a nice way, because then he doesn't have to give you the AA. You don't have to wiggle your way out. Like, he can go through the process. It doesn't have he can threaten the AA and go really far through with it without just having him do it and you kick out. Like, the agility makes it. Once he gets Rock up there, he's almost got to
flipping.
Yeah, he's almost got to put him down. You know, like otherwise it just looks gross.
Oh Jesus! Yeah, this is just a finisher fest.
Yeah, it's getting a little sloppy too. I think Rock's looking a little hurt now. Hurt and tired. Again, God, he's just so old, you know? Like, it's not even his fault anymore. He's just a elderly giant man. He just probably should not be professionally wrestling.
That was a nice sequence of just them completely missing their finisher at 100.
Oh, look at him breathing. Oh, I'm breathing.
It's just like you get to the end of the match and it's like, I have one move. That's it.
Yeah.
And there's just one move. It's like, okay, but you can do another move to set you up for the next move.
Yeah, you're allowed to do whatever you want. It doesn't have to just be. Especially like it gets so labor when they have a finisher that requires like a kick to the gut or something. Because then they're just doing the kick to the gut and the finisher. You're like, Jesus, like, don't. Oh, is this it? That might be it. Oh. I mean, the crowd seems into it. I will say that. Like, everyone seems excited. I don't recall being very excited.
Yeah, you say that like we weren't there and not that excited.
I just don't. I mean, that's not a very good match. Like, that's best case scenario for what Rock can probably give you at this age. And this age was 12 years ago, or 11 years ago.
Well, luckily, I have 3 very qualified workers around him.
We'll see. I don't know what they're gonna do, but. This match should be a cautionary tale. You know, if Triple H, I'm sure he's watched it recently or thought about it, but it's just, you know, even Cena these days coming back. Like, Cena had a match with Austin Theory at Mania last year that was really bad, and everyone didn't like it, and it just felt weird and out of place, you know? Like, at a certain point, even if you can still go, it's like, do you need to go? Like, what are we gaining by you doing this? Like, again, I know Dwayne coming back is a whole other level of fame and attention, but
the flip side of that is you have 2 nights to fill. So why wouldn't you give Cena a match?
Well, you saw the rumor is now that they're going to do. I mean, as we're wrapping up, and this just makes sense. I don't know if they're actually going to do it, but night 1 would be Cody and Seth versus Rock and Roman, and then night 2 would be Roman Cody. Sorry.
Yeah.
So Rock would get his match, but like you said, he'd be in a tag match with all those other guys. But then because Roman and Cody can go 2 nights, and then maybe Dwayne like you were hinting at, gets hidden away for a while.
But even another Cena match though, it's like who's he like in 2013? Mm-hmm. It's like he's taking us. if The Rock's taking a spot away from Punk, which was a big gripe of his before he re-signed with WWE recently.
Yes.
But like, you know, that adds up when there's only so many spots. But now with 2 nights, like, you're not taking a spot away from someone. Everybody gets a seat at this table. So like, you might as well throw Cena in and give him a rub. Let him give a rub to someone. Like,
yeah.
Not that worked last year, but
in theory, it's a very reasonable idea.
What with Logan Paul, for all I care? Like, yeah, that's a match that people might care about, or don't. Like,
or it's weird enough and interesting enough that people will be intrigued just because they're like, I don't know what the fuck this is gonna be. Like, I would like to see what happens here.
Do they actually have? Sorry, looking at what we're actually watching here. Do they actually have a conversation here, or is it like kayfabe? Like, we're talking to each other, but we're saying nothing. Yeah.
They gotta say, they must be having a conversation of a sort, right? Because you could read his lips. Like, in theory, we can know what they're saying. They can't just say, like what's the thing that they say, like, when you're a background actor, you say, like, vegetable. Like, you know, that there's, like, a word they're supposed to repeat over and over again? Because it looks like, someone found out it looks like you're saying, you're actually having a conversation, but you're saying, like, I can't remember what the word is. No, but you know what I mean, though?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Vegetable sounds like a word that, without sound, would look like more than one word.
Yes. Oh, and look, Rock gets his music played at the end, too.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't win.
Cena's like, everyone point at The Rock and cheers. Like, we've been booing you all match, so of course we're going to cheer The Rock.
It's The Rock. We love The Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, this is such a different vibe because Rock coming back was really a big. Even though I don't know if anyone was necessarily clamoring for a sequel, it was still exciting to see Dwayne back. You know.
Yeah.
Nowadays, especially after the way the Fast and Furious movies blew up, and like there's a little bit of a stink around Rock. I mean, he's still one of the biggest stars in the world, but this is just this is an interesting time to, like you said, to bring him back and just expect everyone to blindly cheer. That seems foolish, and it just does not seem like what's going to happen.
Remember, he was going to go to be president.
Yeah, remember when Young Rock was on TV?
Yeah, which one fizzled first?
And think about how oversaturated we are with him. You know, like he had a show on NBC that was just the most self-promoting, like lazy ass garbage program that he got made just because he's The Rock.
Well, that's more of an indictment on NBC's ability to program and develop content, I would argue.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
I don't blame The Rock if NBC's like, we're going to give you millions of dollars to do a show about your life.
And you don't have to do really anything. And no one involved is seemingly going to try very hard.
You show up for 5 minutes a week.
Yeah.
And
film some, like, bumper segments with Randall Park, and we'll give you $1 billion. Yeah.
You can literally do all of them in one.
Oh, there's Rock daughter.
Oh yeah, who's
now a pro wrestler.
Who are
hi
these
to all
other
these little
people?
babies.
All right, well, this match is officially over.
So this match is over. It was not very good. We were there. It was kind of bad. And I guess, we'll see what happens with Rock in the next couple weeks. Like, by the time we record a couple more episodes, it should be clear. Well, who knows? Maybe we'll find time for another Rock-themed match in advance of Mania to come. We got a lot of time and more watch-alongs to fill, so who knows what we'll be able to squeeze in.
We can't watch another one of these, though.
We did. This is definitely the least we watched and talked about the match that was happening in front of us.
Yeah.
But that's what this should be, though. This is that kind of match, you know? Like, it's not one to be studied and focused on and, like, intently observed, you know?
Yeah.
It's background. It's very competent background noise and spectacle, and that's really all it is.
We did it just because
we wanted to talk about Rock a little bit.
Yeah.
And to get
we did, and we didn't really talk about this match.
And we want those sweet Rock downloads, so
yeah,
because everybody's on their podcast app searching for Rock,
Mania, Cena,
and listening to whatever bullshit comes up.
Wrestling.
Well, there you go. There's Mania 29. Everybody, be happy you didn't go there and spend the money like we did. You did not miss anything, but.
No.
you did enjoy Awesome Truth, and we appreciate you listening as always. If you want to hear more episodes, you can go to our archives, awesometruth.libsyn.com. Every episode is there, including previous watch-alongs where we talk about a variety of things that came up on this episode. You can also subscribe for new episodes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere podcasts are delivered, we are there. Walt, thanks for talking Rock Cena with me, with our fans, with everybody. It was quite the experience. Yeah. We relived our coldest, most random moment from 11 years ago. Now we never have to go back to...
we didn't even talk about how cold it was. Like, who the hell's had the great idea of an outdoor WrestleMania in New York? Let alone more than once.
We never have to revisit it again now, so we're free.
Yes. Well, we're going to do that ride back Mark Henry watch along, right?
That's true. All 9 minutes of it. Thank you all so much for listening. And remember, the truth will set you free.